New data from the Commerce Department shows Americans cut their spending in July by the biggest amount in more than a year. Retail sales fell 0.6% last month, following a slight gain in June. That drop in spending is raising concern among some economists about the resiliency of consumers as Americans respond to rising gas prices and lingering inflation. Joining me now is Heather Long. She is the chief economist at Navy Federal Credit Union. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Federal data also shows inflation declined slightly in July as gas and grocery prices slipped. When you look at figures like this, what are your biggest takeaways for everyday Americans?
I mean, it's tough out there, and you can see the fatigue from American consumers. Part of the reason the July data was so disappointing is that Amazon Prime Day and Target Circle deals and those Walmart Plus deals, they happened in June this year instead of July. So there was definitely less spending on electronics and some of those items that people try to scoop up on Prime Day. But if you really step back and look at the bigger picture, since the war in Iran started, inflation is outpacing wage growth. People are literally getting squeezed financially in America. And you can see that there's been a pullback at the grocery store. More people are turning to credit cards and dipping into savings. And that's why the outlook is definitely for a little bit of a consumer slowdown heading into back to school and ultimately into the holidays.
Yeah, and usually when it comes time for Prime Day, I hear a lot more people talking about it. I didn't hear as much chatter around Prime Day this past summer. July's data also shows restaurant spending saw a slight increase. Families often cut back on eating out to save money. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think there's some of it may have been the World Cup impacts, people going out to watch the final game. So I don't think people were surprised to see that number up a little bit. I think what's been interesting to watch is hobby spending, people spending on books, on sporting equipment, on chess sets. That's actually been one of the bright spots for the past year. I call it mini splurges. In this economy between the tariffs and the high gas prices, people need to do something to feel good about themselves. And so one of the encouraging stories is they're doing the book club, they're getting together to play the sports together to try to find some cheer.
Yeah, I'd like to see some data on how much parents are spending on Robux, because there's a lot going into Robux in my household. But when it comes to school shopping, school's around the corner. Target, for example, says that 95% of its prices for school supplies are at or below last year's levels. What are your biggest concerns as we head into fall and holiday spending?
There's just no relief coming for households right now, and that's what's hard. You just see that people are already squeezed. You see gas prices. We've never had gas prices at $4 this late in the summer. Normally they start to fall a good bit, and that's just not happening right now. And so that's what really worries me is people have been stretched for a long time, and there's nothing else coming. The tax cuts have already happened. The tax refunds have already happened. Other than the stock market gaining a lot more, most middle class and moderate income Americans aren't going to be helped by that.
Right. Well, hopefully we see some sort of relief in the coming months. Heather, thanks so much for your time and insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.